up your engine. Here's a 91 Mercedes, convertible. Normally I'd say you're out of your mind to buy a used Mercedes, especially one as old as this. It's a 91. But not only is this a convertible, this baby is a rarity in the United States. A standard transmission. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 speeds. And here's a hardtop lying on the ground. We took it off. It does have a convertible top, but it's all raggedy because it hasn't been used and the plastic mirror's ripped out. Now back in 1991, this baby cost $68,000. A lot of money today, a lot more back in 1991. And the guy selling this one originally wanted about 7 or so, but it looks like it's gonna go for about 3. And my customer's smart. He's not having me check it out after he bought it. He's having me check it out before he buys it. So let's see. A $68,000 car for $3,000. Yes, it's a Mercedes. Things can get expensive fast, but he wants a knock-around weekend car. It's a nice looking convertible. No arguing that. And yeah, the convertible top is crap, but it looks good the way it is. And when you want, you can always take the regular hardtop and put it back on. Fits perfectly fine. Needless to say, you're gonna make certain concessions when you're buying a $68,000 car for $3 grand. Now, strangely enough, the AC still blows cold on this thing. It only blows cold out of the side vents. It doesn't blow cold out of the middle vents, but you could spend more money tearing the dash apart and fixing the stupid automatic system. It was one of the worst ever designed. So at least it's blowing cold. Maybe you could just put a little fan here to blow it faster in your face. I've done that in my own cars. Check it out. Try finding a standard transmission in a Mercedes in the United States. It's got the beautiful lockup to get it in reverse. You have to pick it up and then put it in reverse. So you can't accidentally think this is first and ruin the transmission, put it in reverse. It won't go into reverse. It'll only go into first that way. To get it in reverse, you pick it up, then it goes in. Very good safety device. And look at the leather seats. The Germans use thick leather like motorcycle jackets. They're still not even really torn. It's kind of amazing. Even still got the windscreen for the convertible when it's down, even though it's got one little hole in it. You can't have everything for $3 grand, but it still has the original Mercedes wheels. Now this car has a top speed of 142 miles an hour, and it's a German car. So even though it's this old, it'll probably still do 142 miles an hour. But my advice is you buy a car like that, don't do that. Because German cars, old ones, are like old athletes. They may be able to go almost as fast, but something's going to break. I had a customer buy one years ago, took it on the highway, tows it in here. What's wrong? I said, you blew the engine. I said, what are you doing? He said, I was going 130 miles an hour and the engine made a noise and stopped working. The German cars, they'll keep going fast, but then they'll blow up when they're this old. Don't push them. Fine car for cruising 70, 75. Here, that's the speed limit when you're driving to San Antonio anyways. It's fine for that. Just don't push it. Now, the biggest drawbacks of these old ones are their automatic transmissions will go out and they cost a lot of money to fix. You can fix them, but it costs a lot of money. This has a standard transmission. They're relatively bulletproof, and they're much more fun to drive. They're rare as hen's teeth in the United States. This is the first time I've ever had a customer look at one with a standard transmission from 91. Back in the day, you could get a few of them, but they're very hard to find. But hilariously enough, here in the United States, they're also harder to sell that way. 90-something% of Americans don't know how to drive a standard transmission. They all drive automatics. That's one reason you can't unload this thing at a really high price. If it was an automatic, it'd probably be gone. You're only going to get specialty guys. My customer, he wants a standard. He wants a fun toy for zipping around in. As far as I can tell by what I've checked so far, this one is in decent shape. Yeah, it's got all kinds of electronic failures. That's what happens as they age. But it starts, runs, shifts perfectly fine. The clutch doesn't wear out. It doesn't slip. And even the stupid Mercedes pneumatic door locks that use vacuum pressure to lock and unlock the doors in the trunk, they still work. I used to love working on those crappers back in the day. They're all electronic now because they use vacuum pressure to unlock and lock the doors. So if they get a leak, good luck finding a leak. It's a vacuum system. There's no pressure to see what's leaking out. They leak in. So they're always fun to work on. But this one still works, amazingly enough. It's a 91. They used to make some good in Deutschland. This one was made in Germany, of course. Give the old door a tug. There's the sticker. Stuttgart, and then on the side, made in Germany. You want to talk about a solid car? Yeah, it's heavy. But listen to the door. It's heavy. And even though it's only got a 6-cylinder engine, this thing gets like 14 miles a gallon in the city. And you're lucky if you can get 20 on the highway. You don't buy this thing for gas mileage. You buy it for having fun driving and handling. It handles really well for an old 91. Now, for a car that's only got 228 horsepower, that's pretty crappy gas mileage, but really, it's a heavy, solid car. Even though this thing is old as the hills, it still feels safe driving it around. We'll take it for a spin. And even though it's old as the hills, let's see how it starts up. You gotta crank it a little, but it starts right up. You can see a bunch of gauges don't work. The water temperature, oil pressure. The tachometer doesn't work either. It says it has 135,000. I believe it's relatively close by the noise the engine makes, or doesn't make. And on this old thing, hey, the seatbelt's still locked. And now where we go with the top down, it is still a solid feeling car. You do have to shift it. A rarity in a Mercedes these days. Still corners quite well. No, it wasn't ever a real dragster off the line. Like I say, it's a heavy vehicle. It weighs quite a bit. But we'll see what it can still do. Still burn rubber. Still shifts smooth. This is a fun car to drive. Now, it sure is hot in the Texas sun driving this thing with the top down. It's 99 degrees out. But really, for $3,000, this could be a fun toy. I did a compression test of the engine, and that's probably the real mileage that's on there. It's got some wear. It burns a little bit of oil. As they age, almost all these straight six-cylinder Mercedes engines will burn a little bit of oil from a combination of worn piston rings, but more often worn rubber valve seals. That's what goes out in them. But doesn't seem to use that much oil. Oil is cheap. This engine still sounds good. Doesn't make a lot of clacking. Could be a fun toy. Now, normally I'd say you got to be out of your mind buying a used Mercedes sports car. But you got to worry mainly about two big things. The engine and the transmission. This is a standard. One, they don't have problems, and the clutch isn't even slipping, so it's got a lot of life left in it. But two, the engine's in good shape. And if it's going to be a toy, the guy might put a couple thousand miles a year on it. This thing could last them decades if he takes care of it and babes it around. Like I say, it'll do 142, but not for all that long. So if you keep it under 80, probably lasts a really long time as long as you add oil as it burns out. Now when I stick my finger in the tailpipe, there's a tiny bit of black. You can see there's a tiny bit of black, but it's not all oily and slimy. So it's not an excessive oil burner. And considering you're getting this beautiful hardtop that even matches the color of the car, heck, it's worth it as a fun toy. Yeah, the convertible top's all ragged and the plastic's ripped out of the windows, but you don't even need it. It's great the way it is, and you can put the hardtop on when you don't want to have a convertible. It's so old, so what if it rains and gets inside? Half the electronics don't work anyway. Heck, if you can get a $68,000 car for $3,000 and it runs and the AC still blows cold, even though it's only on the outside vents and not the middle, what the heck? I mean, the guy started asking like 79. Now he's coming down to close to 3, so I'll tell you, hey, maybe not a bad deal. But mark my words, just don't buy this thing as an everyday driver. That'd be a big mistake. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, here's one for you. If you want to collect Michael Jordan memorabilia, his 1996 Mercedes-Benz S600 Lawrencer is for sale in the documentary The Last Dance. So it's been in a movie, and you even get a plaque that said Michael Jordan owned this car. Now, realize it is a Mercedes-Benz. It is an S600, which are notorious for being money pits as they age. This particular one has a V12 engine in it, but it also has 157,000 miles on it. I guess old Michael liked driving all over the place in that thing. But of course, like anything else, a celebrity owned it, so it's going to go for a lot more than it's actually worth. I had a customer down the street sell one. I don't know, they paid like 140 grand for the thing when it was new, and they ended up selling it for like 4 grand. So I'm sure Michael's is going to go for more than that. But hilariously enough, this thing is a 1996. It's a V12 engine, but that V12 engine only produced 389 horsepower. Ford EcoBoost 4-cylinder one, the Mustang, is pretty close to that, and that's a 4-cylinder engine. So time has passed Michael's car by. Maybe that's why he's selling it now. It's going to be sold at auction, so if you want some Michael Jordan memorabilia, why not buy the Mercedes that he put 157,000 miles on? So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.